I'm Weiser Cornell. This is Support for Stressful Times. It's our intention to be together here and be supportive for each other. How are you? Are these times feeling stressful as they are for me? You could pause and get in touch. And what's nice about focusing, doing this inner sensing process that we do together here, we're not, how shall I put that? We're not afraid of our feelings. I mean, if you are afraid of your feelings, you can say hello to something in you that's afraid of your feelings. But basically, feelings that have to do with being stressed are welcome. So we don't have that extra stress of trying not to feel stressed. Here we are, able to be together in this nice, cozy setting. I feel like this is a cozy setting because I do these every 2 weeks. I'm relaxed about that, but I am stressed about life. And as I was sensing into this particular webinar, I wonder if one thing that many people are stressed about these days is money. Gas prices, oh my gosh. And other prices are going up. And that puts a pressure on everyone. So we'll talk a little today about stress about money, something that I'm familiar with. Not necessarily from my present life, but there have been plenty of times in my life when I wished I had more money than I did, and I felt anxious about paying for basic needs. And I know how difficult that can be. And that's only one thing, of course, that's going on these days that might be bringing up feelings in each of us. There's a war in Europe that hasn't happened in a while. Yeah, just checking the chat here. Nancy says, life is extremely stressful in so many ways. Yeah. I'm sure you speak for many. So what do we do when we want to find out if we're feeling stressed? I mean, if you're like me, I don't necessarily know how I feel when I'm suddenly in a situation where I'm supposed to say how I feel. It's a process. Feeling is a living process. Feeling is life living its way forward. And for me, when people would say to me, this is in my 20s when I was first discovering the process of being with how I feel, people would say, how are you? I didn't know how to find out. So I just said, fine. And that was the acceptable response that was taught in my culture. Fine. In fact, you actually weren't supposed to answer any other way, right? If you said, well, wait a minute, let me see how I'm feeling today. I'm a little bit tired. You'd have to be very good friends with somebody to answer that way. Now, we want to know how you really feel here in this setting. So you're not going to say back to me, I'm fine, unless you really are. But how do we find out? How do we find out? Well, we start with pausing. We start with sensing in the body. Your body is always ready to tell you how you are. But sometimes that's an unfamiliar process to feel in the body how you are. So it takes a little more time and a little more intention. Let's do it together right now. So pausing and allowing your awareness to settle down into your body. Your whole body includes your head, your emotions, your thoughts. It's the whole thing. And especially this inner sort of front area of the body, your throat, chest, stomach, is a sensitive area for letting you know how you feel. Not to exclude other areas. Some people get a lot of feelings in their shoulders and so on. But it makes sense to start by sensing in throat, chest, stomach, abdomen, belly area. How am I there right now? And it might be that you're feeling good, comfortable, calm. That's a perfectly acceptable response from the body. My body's feeling pretty good right now. I was feeling very stressed last week. A difficult problem I was wrestling with got resolved, and almost immediately I could feel a relief and a release all the way down, especially in my stomach. Wow, the calm stomach saying to me, yeah, that difficult issue actually did release. Beautiful. So, how is it for you right now? And is it okay if what you're finding inside isn't comfortable, is tight or heavy or jangly or can't describe it very well? And if you don't know yet, what causes that? Because very often we first know how we feel, and only a little later do we know what's contributing to our feelings. So last week when I was feeling such a uneasy feeling in my stomach, I didn't know immediately that it had to do with that, like I said, a knotty problem that unraveled. I didn't know what it was. Thought it might be worry about money. Thought it might be stress from watching news about the war. But no, it turned out really to be mostly that difficult issue in a creative project. So usually we know first how we feel. And then later we find out, oh, that's what it is. And then often there's a relief right there. Ah. And even if whatever it's about didn't get any better, the relief comes from the self-understanding, from the identification. Oh, that's what it is that's been bothering me, that I've been carrying, that's been waking me up early in the morning, that's been disturbing my sleep. How's your sleep these days? It can be not so easy to go through stressful times. One reason is that we need our sleep, and it can be harder to get sleep. Carol says, avoiding the news. Yeah, I am. I'm avoiding cable news. Just read the paper. Yeah. Diana says, curious, also apprehensive. Oh my gosh, of course, we can have more than one feeling. We can have multiple feelings. How is that? I feel curious. I am sensing something in me is apprehensive. I'm sensing something in me is, and so on and so on. We can have many feelings. So pausing to sense how you are right now. And I've been talking. I haven't really left a pause for you to do that, but I hope you'll take the time. And let's also pause and sense the support that's here. because there's another great skill for stressful times. In addition to feeling how you feel, it's also possible to intentionally draw on your resources. And we can forget about some of our resources when we get caught up in anxiety or worry or anger or fear. So we're going to pause also together and get in touch with resources. Sarah says she feels tense in a moving way. That's interesting. And Maria says, I feel good now, but I'm anxious about the future. So the anxious about the future is here now. Future's not here now, but the anxious is here now. And good and anxious is quite a possible way to feel. Good is like a resource. I'm feeling good. We can pause and sense where and how the body feels pretty good right now. Do you want to do that with me? So feeling your body, feeling your whole body supported here and now, like supported by just how you're sitting. Most of us are sitting. You might be standing or lying down. But in any case, there's support under you. And most of the time when I sit, I'm not super aware that I'm sitting on support. But now let's become aware. Yeah, there's support under me. And that actually feels kind of good. I like feeling that support. I like knowing I can rest into it, rest on it. Okay. And what else? What else is supporting you right now, other than, in addition to the physical situation of sitting, standing, or lying on something? What else is supporting you right now? You're probably in a familiar room. So take a moment just to sense the safety that you're feeling in the room that you're in. I hope there is some safety there. If not, maybe this call isn't the best use of your time. Get safe. But feeling the familiarity of the room around you and letting yourself gather what's nice, what's supportive, what's warm, what's on your side in the room that you're in. You might have objects near you that were given to you by other people. Yeah, Reba writes, a familiar old comfy chair, a room filled with objects from loved ones. There you go. So you knew that already, but now really pause to take that in. Like, that's right. This room is filled with objects from loved ones, and this is a old comfy chair. Pausing to take that in. What other support is around you now? Perhaps you have the support of a spiritual dimension that's meaningful to you. Something that you feel is larger than you and is on your side. Perhaps you are aware of support from friends in your life, people who matter to you, people who help you, people who are also on your side. Pausing to let that in. Doing this may bring up feelings of loneliness, feelings that there's not enough support or is not as much support as you would like. I acknowledge that. That's what can happen. But if feelings like that come, let's be with those. So, resting on the support you do have, you can be with feelings that come in you that are in need of support. in need of support. I can be with that. And by the way, one of the nice ways to give yourself some extra support is to let a gentle hand move to the place in your body where you're feeling something challenging, stressful, painful. And with the hand, you're saying uh, to that place in you, I'm with you now. I'm here. Now, there's very interesting distinction. You're not trying to make it feel better. That would be almost insulting, you know. Cheer up. Things aren't so bad. I don't want to say that to myself or any part of me. I'd, I'd want to give how I feel deep respect. And that means saying to it, yes, I know you're there. And I sense how you feel, how lonely, how scared, how anxious, how tired. I sense how much you feel that. And I'm here. So I'm here doesn't mean it should feel better. It might start feeling better, but that's not our intention. Our intention is to give a simple quality of presence. I am here with. So let me just summarize what I've been saying. We draw on the support around us like a resource. Oh, and Elaine wrote in the chat that cats and animals can be included and plants can be included in the support that we feel. Forgot to mention the world of nature, probably right outside your window. Or recent memories of having a walk in a beautiful place. That's wonderful supportive domain. Okay, so we draw on support, and because we're drawing on support, we're able to feel aspects, parts of ourselves that don't feel so good, that feel in pain, carrying trouble, burdened, having a hard time. A resourced body has a welcome for what we feel that's more difficult, that's more painful. It's nice to relax and feel the resources, feel how I feel good right now. But if that good feeling excludes bad feelings, then it's not really a safe place to be. There's always a sense of the wolf at the door. No, what I call self in presence, the sphere of the big you, doesn't have to push away anything. Feeling good has a welcome in it for those aspects of us that don't feel so good. Maria writes, I feel good in my heart area, but anxious in my head. There you go. So the good feeling in your heart area is your resource. It's you. You get to say, I feel good. And then for the anxious in the head, we can use the special presence language, which is, I'm sensing something in me, something in my head, feeling anxious. I'm sensing something in my head, feeling anxious. So the something in me, that phrase, something in me is anxious, is a way of being present with what we feel without being merged with it. Lily wrote in the chat, I'm sensing something in me is feeling angry and defensive. Made me happy when I read that because the angry and defensive gets to be here. It's not pushed away. But when you say, I'm sensing something in me is feeling angry and defensive, there's also a relationship. I'm here. I'm sensing something in me is angry and defensive, which means that the angry and defensive is both welcome and accompanied And I just love this language that can help remind us how to do that. Yeah. So Sharon writes, my heart hurts being shut out from the love of my son and grandson. Oh, I'm aging alone in isolation after ones I was caregiving for died, and now I must be present with myself. Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds very hard. And it's especially hard for me to tell you, now you have to be with yourself. It would be so nice if there were others nearby who you felt loved by, who you so that you didn't only have to be the one who gives care to yourself. I really hear that. And still, it does mean something that you're acknowledging that you're saying something in me is really feeling lonely and something in my heart is hurting. I'm being with that. It does matter. Elaine writes, I'm sensing the tightness in my chest, holding breath. Yeah, very good. I am sensing. You are there with that. And Maria writes, there's something in me that tries to not feel too good because it could all fall apart. What a good thing to notice. Yeah, I wonder if others have something like that too. Don't feel too good. Mm-hmm. Not sure what that part means by that, how feeling too good could maybe make you not alert enough if things don't go well. Like you have to stay alert. Like if it's worried, perhaps, I'm just guessing, that if you feel too good, you'll relax too much and then you won't be ready to meet a crisis or an emergency. And that's just how it feels. We can say we hear that. We don't want to argue with it. I mean, for me, the truth is that when I'm self in presence and I'm resourced by what feels good, I'm able to be present to all my feelings. I'm actually more ready to meet whatever life brings me than if I were caught up in my stressful feelings. But I'm not saying that part should feel differently. This is one of the miracles that I love about this work, inner relationship focusing, which is that our feelings never have to change. They're not told to change. Nobody inside is trying to make my feelings change. And I hope nobody outside either. Feelings change naturally. It's like something alive naturally grows and develops. Feelings themselves are alive and they naturally grow and develop. It's the presence of you, right? You and hopefully a supportive atmosphere that's even larger than you that allows the environment in which your feelings can make steps of change. And if you notice what happens when you bring awareness inside, you sense how you're feeling, really acknowledge that feeling. Often in a minute or two, there's a little shift, just a subtle shift, like something's a little different now. It still feels bad, but it's a little more relaxed. It's glad I'm here. It's glad I'm listening. Sometimes there's an even bigger shift. Feelings don't stay the same unless they're repressed, ignored, pushed away. This process that we're doing together now, which is a process of being present to how you feel, is an ideal environment for feelings to change, not because they have to or because they're supposed to. That doesn't work anyway. Feelings changing because it's it's in their nature to change. That's what they do. Nancy writes, sometimes it's the fear I won't be able to tolerate the feeling of losing the good. Uh-huh. Yeah. Several people are talking about that in the chat, that the trouble with feeling good is something's afraid I'll be disappointed when I lose it. So good for you for noticing that that's what something in you is afraid will happen, and you can let it know you hear. Oh, I see. I hear you. You're really not wanting me to be disappointed. Uh-huh. It's really a process of being a listener to yourself inside, being a listener, being a listener. And listening doesn't mean trying to change the other. It doesn't mean trying to tell them how they feel. It's got curiosity, openness, non judgmental, respect. Oh, so that's how it is for you, huh? Elaine writes, I sense mixed feelings of sadness, resentment, relief that it took my illness to have family step in to help get support with our mom. Mm. So, yeah, the situation is you got ill, and that brought the family in to help get support. You'd been the caregiver all alone for your mom, but it's a mixed feeling that it's the illness that it took to get the family to come around. That makes so much sense. I'm glad you're noticing and acknowledging that, Elaine. Eleanor writes, feeling sad and scared with world events and climate crisis. Uh-huh. And yet, she writes, there are house finches building a nest near our front window. Okay. The house finches and your enjoyment of them. I feel really touched right now when I hear about that. It's almost like I can see the house finches too. Thank you for sharing that. And that's a resource. And the world is still barreling toward a climate emergency or in one already. It's both. And there's things we can actually do, but for now, being present to our own feelings will help us be ready for the things we can do when they come up. Reba writes, repressing, ignoring, numbing my bad feelings makes them all the worse. I would agree with that. Yeah. Reba writes, they get louder and stronger in order to get my attention. Hey, that's so empathic of you, Reba. Of course they do. That's very understandable. They want your attention. So that's another reason why this process that we're doing here together of giving attention to our feelings is a forward living process. It lets us live into the next steps of life. Shusha writes, something in me feels anxious about a project I start tomorrow. And there's another part that doesn't want to feel that way because I'm wanting to be calm and present. Oh, I so understand that. Yeah. Something's worried that you'll be less available for your project if you have feelings of anxiety. But you can say hello, hello to both of those sides of you. I sense this and I sense this, and both are there. Beautiful. Well, we're nearly done for today. It's been so nice to be with you again. We'll meet again in 2 weeks if you like, and be sure to invite other people to join us too. So nice. So nice to be with you now. Great, great, great. Yay. And Sharon writes, being able to sit with my tears brought a big breath and gratitude. Gratitude that I'm alone, so I can finally listen and pause and ponder. Wow. How about that? Okay. Be well and be safe and be present.